Yo, this your boy Top Shelf News, man, and they were about to get into an update about the Diddy trial. So we're gonna first talk about um what's been going on in the Diddy trial the last couple weeks, the witnesses, and an actual legal attorney, board certified, speak about you know the trial and how the defense has basically made their case Like, and a lot of people be saying, "Oh, we ain't seen nothing about Rico. It just looked like family violence." But if you look up Rico and what it takes to be convicted of a Rico, you'll see that the defense, well, not the defense, but the prosecutors have made their case on the whole situation. So we got expert, a real lawyer that's board certified, passed the bar, is an actual attorney, gonna speak about how the defense have made their case. So let's get into it.
So let's kind of go through our witnesses so far in the Diddy case. Um, we have a hotel security guard, Israel Flores. He testified about witnessing Combs' assault Ventura. Remember in the video, we saw that. We don't need to play that again. I've seen that too many times. Got Daniel Phillips, who's a male escort. That's your, sex across state lines. Saw Combs throw bottles at Ventura, drag her by the hair, paid up to $6,000 for sexual acts while Combs watched. Who wants to watch somebody fuck their woman? I don't. I mean, that's just. I know. Some people are into crazy shit, and there's a different flavor for everybody. But honestly, that's just not my deal. Now, we heard from Cassie Ventura. She testified for 4 days. She alleged a decade of abuse, drug fueled sex parties, and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that they did on cross examination with Cassie is they showed messages where she said, "I'm looking forward to the freak offs." She's looking forward to "I love you so much." All those kinds of things that kind of tend to disprove the coercion. We also heard from Yasmin Binda. She's a federal agent. She talked about searching of Combs' hotel room, found 9,000 in cash, which is not that much for a guy like Combs, MDMA, ketamine, lubricant, and baby oil. Don't leave home without it. Fuck. Then we have Don Richard, or Richard. I think she goes by Richard because if you're, in the A-list, you can't say Richard. You have to say Richard. Former member of Danity Kane. She witnessed Combs assault Ventura multiple times, but she never called the police, including 2009 skillet incident, sued Combs in 2024, along with everybody else on the fucking planet. And so is she trying, does she have a motive to lie? Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. Then we heard from Carrie Morgan, Ventura's former best friend, saw Combs assault Ventura twice, received $30,000 payment with confidentiality deal. Friendship ended in 2018. Here's the thing. You can't have a confidentiality deal that prevents you from testifying in a criminal court. That's just absolutely 100% not allowed. Then we also heard from David James, Combs' former personal assistant. When you're doing illegal shit in front of somebody, I don't care if you have an NDA. I don't care if they're your personal assistant. You're subject to disclosure. So David James testified about tasks including buying drugs. Oh, buying drugs. Driving during armed confrontations with Suge Knight. One of the things that they have to prove with the RICO is a pattern of RICO activity. And that pattern of RICO activity is established through the sex trafficking, through the drugs, through the violence. And then we also heard from Virginia Ventura, that's Cassie's mother. She took a home equity loan out for $20,000 to prevent Combs from releasing a sex tape. Why would he? And that's the coercion. the sex trafficking, the force, fraud, or coercion. Photos of injuries were also shown. And then now we have a male escort by the name of Sheree Hayes testified, hired 12 times and described erotic scenes, paid $1,200 to $2,000, testified on Ventura's comfort level. Then we had Gerald Gannon, federal agent of Homeland Security. He testified that he recovered an AR-15 parts, loaded handgun, drugs from Combs' Miami Beach home linked to freak-offs. That's a problem for Mr. Combs. We heard from Dawn Hughes, an expert witness psychologist. Remember, she was in the Johnny Depp trial. She explained why victims stay in abusive relationships. That's standard. Whenever I don't like this testimony because an expert witness on women testifying or on behaviors of victims. I remember I was cross-examining one of these experts once, and I asked, well, can you tell me how people who lie about the abuse respond to these situations? And she couldn't tell me. Well, you agree that children lie sometimes, don't you? And you agree some people lie. Everybody lies sometimes, right? Yeah. And well, tell me, how does the behavior of somebody who lies about it, how does that impact their behaviors and what they're doing? And they can't answer any of those questions. Then we heard from George Kaplan. That's Combs' former personal assistant. I guess you got to have personal assistants after personal assistants. Testified under immunity because it's just like the other guy, he bought drugs. Well, why aren't you being prosecuted? Because I'm a snitch. So he quit after witnessing violence, described cleaning up hotel rooms for freak-offs. Jesus Christ. That's a great job. Wouldn't that be a great job? Where do you want me to put this condom? It's just, you want to take your brain out and fucking scrub it after you hear some of this stuff. We heard from Kid Cudi, Scott Miss Cudi, musician and actor. He testified Combs threatened him, suspected Combs broke into his home, firebombed his Porsche, as you see here. Photos of, and then show the charred remains of his Porsche. I don't think he assumed it was him, but didn't know it was him. Didn't see him do it. Then we have a makeup artist, Mila Morales. She witnessed the 2010 assaults, saw Ventura with swollen eyes, a busted lip after an incident at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I don't, and one of the other things that they have to prove on the RICO side of things is that the overt acts or the pattern of racketeering activity, the overt acts that we're talking about here, they have to be done in furtherance of the organization or in furtherance of the position of the actor within the organization. So I think that just shows the coercive nature of Diddy. I don't think it does anything to prove that he did that busted lip thing and beating her up in conjunction with the RICO. I don't think that helps the RICO case at all. And then we have Frederick Zamore, hotel manager at L'Hermitage, Beverly Hills, because you got to stay at the 5-star, don't you, when you're doing freak-offs. Noted Combs' room habits, candle wax, excessive oil, fuck, linked to freak-offs per Ventura's testimony. So he kind of corroborates Cassie's testimony. Then we have Joshua Croft, special agent of Homeland Security investigation. He testified about examining electronics, found Frank Black alias on Ventura's laptop. Some of the testimony is kind of dry and boring. They have to go through, how did you get this material? What were the steps taken to extract the data off of it? And, all these kind of very technical things, that's called laying foundation for somebody later to testify about what's on the devices. And Capricorn Clark, nice name, you think that's his given name? Maybe, maybe not. Another assistant. See, all these assistants are turning out to be fucking snitches. You know why? Because they're co-conspirators. That's why. Because anybody that's covering up his crimes is aiding an offender after the fact, or an act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Helping Combs cover up violence, helping him set up these freak offs, clean up the freak offs, helping him do anything, getting the drugs. That's all in furtherance of the RICO. And so Mr. Clark, Mr. Capricorn Clark, testified the details not fully specified in the available updates, but likely related to assisting Combs. Okay, so Capricorn Clark is his assistant and likely testified about, just the various things that, Combs had him do. And what Combs had him do on a regular basis was this, that, and the other thing. So then we have a few more. We have Deontay Nash, celebrity stylist. She testified about witnessing Combs beat Ventura in causing bleeding, as reported on May 28th, 2025. Then we have LAPD officer, law enforcement witness, testified on day 11, likely related to arson investigation. Then we have another person from the LA Fire Department also testified about probably about the Porsche. And then we have Mia, the assistant, delivering harrowing testimony on May 30th, alleging rape, assault, fear of being killed, and details. And I think she's still on the stand, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of a rundown of the list of witnesses that have testified so far.
Yeah, so y'all see what's going on, man. He just broke it down from witness to witness from the last 2 weeks. And he had on the screen where it said everything and, the detailed description of the points that the prosecution was trying to make. They're making their point, whether people realize it or not. Details and how to be, what does it take to be prosecuted on a RICO trial? People done already looked that up and they know. Some people haven't, though. So that's why those are the ones that still acting like they don't understand what's really going on. So to Diddy, basically speaking on Trump years ago, I think back in 2016, when Trump was running for his first term, so he was basically, down talking Trump and saying that we got to get Biden in the office and we got to get Biden in the office and this, that, to the third. So
that way of thinking is real dangerous. White men like Trump need to be banished. That way of thinking is real dangerous. This man literally threatened the lives of us and our families about going to vote.
Stand back and stand by.
Stand back and stand by.
Yeah.
We're in a war. We're not taking this like it's a war. We're taking this like, we're in a presidential election. No, we're in a war of love versus hate. The number one priority is to get Trump out of office. The tribe of people that have the responsibility and really should be scared to death of this man is white people.
Y'all see what's going on. He did it, talk bad about Donald Trump years ago when he was first trying to get elected. So why would Donald Trump want to pardon Diddy is the question. That's the question. So, yeah, I could name a few million reasons why Trump would want to pardon Diddy. Hold on. Now, let me break it down. Trump is a businessman first. He's an entrepreneur. So he's all about making business and making money. Or should I say doing business and making money. So P. Diddy's a billionaire. Or so they say. Maybe now he's probably worth about $400 million is what I seen on Google the other day. But hey, that's still a lot of money. So with that being said, he could easily buy his way a pardon. Trump will take 10 million, maybe 30 or 40 million, because he talked bad about him. So he might put a little tax on it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, he's still going to take the money. He still would take the money and do the pardon on some behind the table, up under the table type of situation. Like, yeah. If Diddy's assistants and all the people he pretty sure he still got working for him on the low, go and or his lawyer, go and offer them personally amount of money, he's gonna take it up under the table and wouldn't let nobody know. Okay, I want $30 million. I would charge him 10, but he talked bad about me. I want 30 now. Okay, he's willing to give it to you. What the paperwork at? I'm finna sign it. That's what Trump gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a businessman first at the end of the day. So yeah, that's that. That's my opinion on, why would Trump want to pardon him after the fact. But let's hear what Trump gonna say.
Back when you hosted The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, he sort of that relationship busted up. From what I read, I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. You know, it's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So I can't, it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Yeah. So you just heard that. Trump basically kind of said, okay, I heard about he talking bad about me, or he's talked bad about me before in the past. But, you know, if I feel like the trial was unfair or whatever the case may be, I would consider pardoning him. And what he's basically saying is, if he got about 30 or 40, maybe 50 million, I'll pardon him. That's pretty much what he's saying right there. And that's exactly what I was just saying a few minutes ago. So now, with that being said, let's get into 50 Cent's response to that. Because, you know, 50 Cent and Diddy been beefing for years, like, 10 plus years now. So
50 Cent, also known as Curtis Jackson, said he might meet with President Trump to urge him not to pardon Sean Diddy Combs should Combs be convicted on sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Jackson says he'll remind the president about some bad things Combs said about the president in the past. The president has not yet said he would pardon Combs, but did say he would, in his words, look at the facts in Combs's New York trial and not let persons' opinions influence his decision on pardons.
That 50 said he might go have a meeting with Mr. President, man. Look, man, look, I know that, I got some nasty video recordings of him doing some crazy things with Cassie and other people doing crazy things with Cassie myself. And yeah, man, Diddy's on some weird stuff, man. I mean, I don't think you need to really, it'll be that type of situation. So it's what 50 is basically saying. So yeah, man, what y'all think, man? How y'all think this finna play out, man? You know what I'm saying? You think if he lose trial, will he be pardoned by Trump? if he lose trial, will he be pardoned by Trump? I think he will. You know what I'm saying? I think it's about a 75, 80% chance. If he got enough money for him to sign it, he gonna sign it. Man. That's what I personally think. But what y'all think, man? Like, share, subscribe, and just follow my page, man. Tune in to what's going on, and we out. Top Shelf News, and we out.